Copy-pasting is probably one of the most useful tools ever invented in the history of computers. We use it all the time for different purposes, ranging from the mundane, like copying photos from one folder to another, to the more complex, like copying and pasting photos into this video. It's not exactly a Command-C, Command-V only operation, but I think it's still copy-pasting. Anyway, we all know how easy it is to use. And because it is so easy, this, plus a plethora of information we can find on the internet, have made it easy for plagiarism to do. Hi everyone! Although I would rather talk about the many wonders of copy-pasting, today I'm going to talk about plagiarism. Plagiarism is one of the key intellectual property issues mentioned in George Reynolds' Ethics in Information Technology book. Plagiarism is further defined as the act of stealing someone else's ideas or words and passing them off as one's own. Emphasis on the word ideas, because ideas too can be plagiarized and not just words from literary works. So what constitutes plagiarism and when does it occur? Plagiarism is, number one, when you do not attribute the source, even if the source is you. This is very basic. When you copy-paste text from another article or any kind of publication without attributing the source in your work, you commit plagiarism. Even if the source is you from a different article or perhaps a different paper, you need to make the citation. Furthermore, forgetting an in-text citation is also plagiarism. It's not enough to just include the references at the end of your article. You need to mark the places in your paper where these references are used. In addition to that, just saying in your paper that many of the ideas there are from other sources is not enough. You need to include the name of the author or authors, or at least the title of the work if the author name is not available in your article. Number two, when you paraphrase text and you do not attribute the source. Again, this is very common. Just because you switch the words around doesn't mean you can skip citing your source. Switching the words around won't make them yours. So include in-text citations even for paraphrased text. A good rule of thumb is if you use at least 3 words from the original text, you should attribute the source. Number 3, when you misattribute the source. So always double check your sources so that you do not risk interchanging them. One good practice is to mark the citation and add it to your references as soon as you write them down. Number 4, when you use someone else's ideas as your own. Just because Juan hasn't made the paperwork yet does not mean Pedro can use Juan's ideas as his own. According to Isagani Cruz's article, Is Plagiarism a Crime in Philippine Star? Using different words or even a different language but expressing the same ideas is plagiarism. Although this is harder to prove in court if it comes to that, know that it is still plagiarism. Number 5, when you patch together different sources without attribution. Mixing up 2 or more different texts from other sources to make one cohesive sentence does not make them your own. You should attribute all of the sources you used. Number 6, when you copy someone else's programming code and pass it off as your own. Yes, programming code is covered by plagiarism. Perry of Authenticate.com says, and I quote, that just like in the world of literary plagiarism, just one more time, just like in the world of literary plagiarism, there is a fine line between lawful use and plagiarism in coding. In fact, the Brown Daily Herald reported that Brown's computer science department topped the list of plagiarism incidents. Okay, so number 7. Plagiarism occurs when you purchase a paper or even a programming project. Although technically you did not steal anybody else's ideas, those ideas are still not your own. So that's still plagiarism. So let's do a quick recap. Plagiarism occurs when, number 1, you do not attribute the source even if the source is you. Number 2, when you paraphrase text and do not attribute the source. Number 3, when you misattribute the source. Number 4, when you patch together 2 or more different sources and do not attribute those sources. Number 5, when you use someone else's ideas as your own. Number 6, when you copy computer programs. And number 7, when you purchase a paper or even a programming project. There are several reasons why people plagiarize, like procrastination, sheer laziness, and lack of awareness, which is the most common reason, I guess. Whatever the reason is, plagiarism is inexcusable and can result to several negative repercussions, including legal ramifications that may result to prison sentences and/or monetary penalties. In the Philippines, plagiarism of copyrighted material is covered under the copyright law, Part 4 of the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. It also provides that any reproduction of such material should attribute the source and mention the name of the author if available. Computer programs are included in the protected works list. The law goes on to say that works are protected by the sole fact of their creation, irrespective of their mode or form of expression, as well as their content, quality, and purpose. Like what we've discussed a while ago, stealing an idea, regardless of its original form of expression, constitutes plagiarism and is punishable by the copyright law. Criminal penalties for infringing the copyright law can go for as much as 1,500,000 pesos in fines and 9 years in prison. So how do we avoid plagiarism while incorporating evidence into our academic, corporate, and even personal works? Number 1, we should learn how to properly and effectively attribute sources. Using direct quotes, paraphrasing, and summarizing text gathered from different sources all need citations. I will link up several helpful articles about how to do this in the description box below. Also, there are a lot of citation generators already available on the internet, like citationmachine.net and ecbib.com. Ecbib is probably short for EC Bibliography. You don't even have to go through the tedious task of knowing which parts to italicize and knowing what goes before what, etc. So really, there is no excuse. There are also several plagiarism checkers already available on the internet. Examples like Turnitin and Authenticate are not free, but some websites like Grammarly.com allow you to input text or upload a file, and it tells you if there are possible plagiarism, along with some other information on the text's grammar, spelling, construction, etc., which are also equally important actually. And they do this for free. MOS, which is short for Measure of Software Similarity, which was developed by a professor from Stanford University, is used to detect plagiarism in computer programs. This is also available on the internet. Including evidence is critical for backing up your claims, opinions, and arguments, but give credit where credit is due. Some people might say that nobody's ever going to find out, but even if no one finds out, you'd still know that you stole something. It might be a pretty minor thing, but still, you stole something from someone out there somewhere. Let's always endeavor to uphold academic integrity. Plagiarism stifles creativity and critical thinking. Let your own ideas take center stage, and don't steal from anybody. That's all.